You don't.
Years ago, yeah.
That's the 1960s, Roger.
Yeah.
The good old
The good old days, yeah.
You don't.
I think because we let it go in the past for other groups, I don't, you know, I know you're double-edged sword here. You said the church was gonna probably apply for one too?
They called. It has to be nonprofit though, because I had one of the
Yeah.
businesses downtown
Okay.
that they wanted to apply and they can't. It has to be a
Nonprofit.
nonprofit organization. And I did run it through Attorney Vandy Castle and talked with him also, because when Pat first came and visited me, I said, I don't know.
Right, you know, this is the Pulaski Reds organization, who's 503.
Yeah.
For nonprofit.
So if other nonprofits, okay, so, I don't know, just pick any other one, then it would come to the, you know, if it's a nonprofit from out of town, if you will, I would think that would be a, I don't know, on the business side, I would say, well, that would be an easy one to say, well, no, sorry, you're a nonprofit, but that money isn't coming back into town.
Yeah.
If it's a nonprofit that's within town that wants to generate some funds, and, you know, I will say this, Roger, that I do agree with you. I talked to Don Merzick, and he tells me the glitches with having people, and there aren't enough young bucks getting involved. I can see it, and I get it. You know, would I say, okay, we're not gonna run that stand, and me and Mark are gonna donate our time to, you know, the stand over there in Polka Days and do that, and what do you get for that? How does that work?
It doesn't seem like much after
No,
a long weekend of
It
volunteering.
depends on how many people are working and how much funds come in, and then they divvy it up per hour.
Last year they paid $10 an hour.
$10 an hour.
Did they?
Yeah, that's what,
I think one year I remember the Lions Club made $6,000, but there again, it's based on how many hours you put in.
All weekend and a fully staffed,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
10 people at sometimes.
Yeah.
behind
Well,
that
I can
beer
tell from
tent.
past with the fire department, you know, we had a lot of hours worked, a lot of people that kind of backed off. Now they actually make more in their one-day bowling tournament than they do 4 days at Polk. Well, it's actually 7 days because of setup and everything. So the numbers have kind of come down a little bit. I don't know if they put anything in the coffer for future use or not, but I don't think it's huge money. I mean,
I'm curious, I didn't know what that.
Not saying they couldn't use another group, because there's some groups that did back out of it already, so.
In the years past, both as a chamber as well as a junior chamber of commerce, we've asked to be involved with the Polka Days and got the big, no, sorry, we don't have room because we have these other organizations. So I would support this in hopes that they look at you next year and say, hey, why don't you come and join us?
Yeah.
This is how it's going to work out. And you know, I don't see a problem with this. I think
Doug,
the
I'm
no
glad you said
still
that.
burns me.
That's where you probably see some
And I'm very
animosity.
glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
That's true.
You probably see more feedback from Polka Days because another stand is getting set up and
Yeah,
they're thinking they're taking money from them because people
Yeah.
are drinking here, not there, and you could talk about that for hours.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's
But
not
then
any
again, I
different
will
than
say-
them drinking in the bars versus
No,
downtown,
no.
in the
But
poker
they're-
grounds, so.
And there is nothing
But it goes to the
downtown.
community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's
I
nothing
still can't get
downtown.
past that.
I don't think you block the streets off there.
No.
When that parade is going on, I mean, we can have just a nice setup there, and I mean, I don't know.
There's
The
things
parade
you watch.
stops right there and gets
It
refreshed.
depends on your weather.
Right,
Yeah, that too.
exactly,
Yeah.
so, you know, I'm not looking to argue about it at all, it's just an opportunity that we've thought about in years past, and we go, yeah, that's a lot of work, we gotta make, you know, have the right blah, 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 so we've talked about it, and now we're ready to make it happen and see if it'll work.
Mark, as far as law enforcement, can you foresee any problems or?
No, it's no different than every, you know, Roger, you have to look at the craft show. What does that do? It draws people into.
Yeah,
So, you know, we have every vendor there that's making money for personal profit there. So I guess I don't want to start dabbling into this to make a decision, like I said, but as far as my responsibility, I don't think we're going to have any problems. We don't have the downtown crowd anymore.
Yeah, that was the
And,
biggest probably
Okay.
That was my bigger problems were 1 o'clock in the morning downtown when we had both sides of the street standing and we had everything going on, but today's world, it's a little different.
Okay.
Are you gonna have porta potties set up too, Pat?
Well, you know what, good question.
I think that might be a good idea.
Unless you got good neighbors.
Might be a good idea.
We did not, at least
Just
I
for
certainly
yourselves,
did not think about
Yeah.
But you know what, I'm sure
Yeah, deep beer in the cup.
after a while, you can't send them in the store to go to the bathroom.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know.
would be a good idea.
Recliners might be used a lot more.
So let me ask you this, is that is a porta potty what am I looking for, the word, an ordinance out there?
No, it's not, but it just depends on what you're
Probably
gonna
would
have.
be worthwhile to have one.
I think it would be a
There's
necessity.
two really big trees here.
We usually have at least a half a dozen disorderly,
Talk to Larry.
That's something I
About
don't,
that.
yeah, seriously, that's something you don't wanna dabble, they'll be peeing inside your building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
No,
good.
we'd have to get a porta potty for sure.
what would your hours be there, Pat?
Well, I don't think we'd be like late at night, but,
Start with coffee?
you know, whenever noon till midnight or something like that, or maybe, we haven't really talked about the hours honestly. For sure, you know, that Thursday, when does it start, when all the people are around?
Afternoon.
You know, and then just gonna just run it, and I can't see us being open past midnight.
This year, maybe.
Yeah.
It's something really kinda new and and, you know, exactly how it's gonna work out, I can't honestly say exactly how it's all gonna go, but.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor by Chris, seconded by Doug Prentice, and then discussion.
No more discussion?
No, I commend you guys for pursuing this and, I'm in favor of it and, I
We
hope
have
that's the
a
right
motion
decision.
and a second.
We won't screw it up.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Number 16, revised resolution 1107-13, capital asset policy, to consider 10,000 value instead of 2,500 or more are defined as capital assets. And this is a recommendation from Shank and Associates, so we revise this, bring it more into today's world.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Doug,
I'll second.
second by Bruce, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 17, to consider your approval of resolution to accept contingency fund balances for the period ending 12/31/17. You have the updated, you see that we had a very difficult budget, so a lot of things were zeroed out. Memorial Park Blacktop is expanded, the police car radio cameras have been purchased, and the police vehicle has been purchased. This is the balances that you see for the 12, at the end of 12/31/17. And normally, year-end meeting, if there are monies that can be put into contingency, that's when, it's usually done in February, right, Karen?
It depends when Ginny was here, because she reviews everything with us and gives her expertise, and that's what we came up with.
Joel, we did spend all the blacktop money last year, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Some of that went for the buildings as well, the 2 new shelters.
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution. By Bob Van Lannen,
I'll second.
Bob Nagowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 18, discuss truck purchase, Public Works as per Joel Van Lannen.
Last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion. Looking back at the minutes, you did allow for the purchase of a new one. However, we wanted to have further discussion on which one to purchase. So that's why it's on the agenda tonight. My recommendation would be, I believe you're getting more truck-free money by going with the Dodge Ram.
And I like the fact that it has 4 doors instead of just 2, where you have to crawl in the back.
Overall cost difference was $500?
It was $29,999 for the Dodge and $29,608 for the Ford, so
And the Ford wasn't a four-door?
it was not.
Four-door.
So you're looking at roughly
$400.
$400.
We have the insurance money, and we've got some other insurance money that we haven't committed things to. I think we could easily pay this year and next year's without having to budget for it.
You said, Mark, the van is gonna be paid for too, right? Two more years? Or two more
No,
payments?
2
Oh, 2
payments.
payments, oh, okay.
So I feel that we can comfortably make this purchase and probably not have to budget for it next year, but the following year and the year after that. We spread it over 4 years, do it through Premier Bank, where you know we're gonna get a good rate.
I'd just like to interject that, and I was talking to Joe before the meeting, a friend of mine purchased a new Dodge, and he did look at the GMCs and the Fords, and he was sold definitely on the Dodge. So I think you're making a good choice.
I'll make a recommendation that I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the Ram pickup truck.
I'll second that.
Second by Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 19 was Black Diamond Developers. I talked to Mr. Verhagen last weekend and today again. There's some cross communication that still needs to be finished up with between Bill and
Yeah, I did take this one along on my vacation too, and I did work on this one a lot, 2 weeks.
Okay.
We've got a couple of issues, this is that agreement that has the quote pay-go provisions in it. There are some issues in what happens if they don't, or if the building comes in when it's done and it doesn't meet the projected valuation. They were projecting in their proposal about something north of $7 million. Your developer incentive from the village was 17% of that, which was like 11 or 1.19 million. And the question is, how do we deal with, on this pay-go formula, if the building doesn't reach the $7 million mark? The way the prior agreement worked is that you would still have the 1.1 million that you would owe, so if the, as a cap, and so we're working through how you restructure that, and it's easy to say, well, you just adjust it. Well, you have to put that into some language that everybody understands, so that's what we're primarily working on, is getting that taken care of. And then also, there were some issues that have been resolved, but there was some issues as to when the village pays its portion. Because it's, and Jody and I have talked about this, we have to make sure that we actually get the tax dollars in before we make the payment, and how we go through that process. And actually, it sort of works to our benefit, because they want the option of making the 2 payments on the taxes, and so the payments could be split, or it could be delayed entirely until October. So that, for example, the 2018 payment would be in November of 2019. So you're always paying almost a year out before you have to pay, so. That's been worked into the agreement to clarify that, so. But there's a couple other little minor things, but that was the biggest one. And then the percentage of how that gets paid out was another one that we were dealing with too, so. So that will be in the revisions, and I hope to have that done for the meeting next week.
So it could be ready next week, or for sure for the May
Yes.
board meeting, which is on the 7th. So, no action is needed. And thank you for the good explanation, Bill. Number 20, consider approval of our operator bartender license applications ending 6/30/2018.
Okay. I actually have two, but I need separate motions. The first one would be for period ending June 30th of 2018. Her name is Amber S. Parma. She's going to be working at the Pulaski Shell. She doesn't have her certificate training yet. She's completing online. So the motion could be made contingent upon Chief Hensel's signature, her certificate of completion with the beverage server training, and to follow all Village of Pulaski ordinances.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the next one I have is for the new period. This would be starting July 1st of 2018, and it would expire June 30th of 2020. He wanted this to go through to the board already. It would be for Pulaski Polka Grounds. It'd be for Francis H. Ulmer. He would be a renewal. And that one too, that would have to have Chief Mark's signature. He does have his certificate of training on file, and to follow all Village of Pulaski ordinances.
I'll make that motion.
Bruce
I'll second.
and Bob Gaskey, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 21, persons desiring to be heard.
Yes, Reed, I'd like to be heard if I could. Representing the Field of Dreams, there's an exciting thing happening this Thursday. We're at groundbreaking for Phase 2, otherwise known as snow breaking. We'll bring plows in and take care of that, but that's going to happen at the high school at 11 o'clock. And it'll be a brief presentation and hopefully some shovels in some topsoil someplace, and then go from there. And then the second will be the fundraising, which will be an event on the 28th. It is our annual bowling event, which for us has raised us an annual about $13,000 a year.
Wow.
This time we'll be at the gutter, which is different. Previous 2 years have been at Wally's doing 2 shifts. Now we have enough lanes to put everyone on 1 shift. So that'll start at 4 o'clock on the 28th.
Seemed as though there are still a few lanes to be filled.
Yes.
If anybody else is interested, I signed up this week, so I know and they had requested that you apply by the 1st of April, but I think they have maybe 4 or 5 lanes available if anybody wants to put together a team.
As well as lane sponsors.
All right.
Thank you, Greg. Persons desiring to be heard, third time, persons desiring to be heard. Number 22, such other matters is authorized by law. Department reports, Public Works.
I've got a few things. This Thursday, there is going to be a mock tornado watch and a mock tornado warning. It looks like it'll be starting at 1 p.m.
There's an evening too.
There's an evening, and that will be 6:45 and 7 p.m. If by some chance there is actual severe storms that day, it'll take place on Friday.
Snowstorm?
We did decide upon a day for the dedication for with the Ron Krieger family. It will be May 5th at 3 p.m. We will advertise that as well. And thirdly, you may have noticed or saw or heard that we were on the news in regards to a rat problem. Basically, how it happened was Brown County and the city of Green Bay came up with $15,000 and they reached out to all local Brown County towns, villages, parts of Green Bay. They called probably way back in January, and they asked if the village of Pulaski would be interested in receiving free traps. I said, we don't have a rat problem, but if you're giving free traps, sure, we'd be interested. I didn't hear anything until the news broke.
Hey,
That
you got
as
a rat
Rob
problem.
Pulaski, Green Bay has a rat problem.
That's how they get their news.
So that's how that all spiraled out of control.
Be careful what you ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's free. Make sure you read the fine
Yeah.
print.
You're gonna get a call from jail too.
Obvious correlation there.
So that's how that all happened.
So are you still getting the traps?
They're allowing us to go purchase up to $500 at any store. We'd have to pay for it, send them in a receipt. They would reimburse us back if we choose to do that.
Joel, did you say a rat problem or a cat problem?
Well, they all go hand in hand, but
That's a bigger
Yes.
trap, isn't it?
so just wanted to clarify.
I turned down about 5 requests for interviews on the rat problem.
I imagine.
Talk to Joel.
So, like I said, I just wanted to clarify how that all took place. And that's all I had.
Thank you. Sewer and water, Tom?
I'd like to ask the board if they would consider allowing me this year to bring in 2 seasonal helpers. And the reason I'd like to do that is basically for the summertime from holiday to holiday. I'd like to upgrade the valve exercising program and get a little more intense in that this year. A lot of hydrant maintenance, and also upgrade my fire flow on fire hydrants and in multiple smaller projects in-house. But I'd like you guys to consider allowing me to do that, to bring in 2 seasonal people to put them on those projects. And part of that I would involve some leak detection too. Leak detection is getting to be an issue, and as they're working, I would have them be doing sound testing and things like that.
Are we looking at 35 hours a week, 20 hours a week?
40 hours each, you know, with the option of flexibility, because they are students. I mean, they need a day to go for whatever reason, sign up for school or anything. I mean, we're flexible, and that way it's not etched in stone that they have to work that full 8 hours. We're gonna request that it would be a 40-hour week. But I'm looking from Memorial Day to Labor Day, basically, that kind of time frame to do these projects, and I'd like to put 2 people on there.
Pay scale, $10, $11, $12?
I don't know, Joe, what are you paying your part?
We started this year's at 10.
Okay.
So in all fairness, you know, and the work they'd be doing, they'd be earning that 10, I guarantee you.
Is there monies available to fund these?
There should be built in our rate case, because those projects are built into those rate cases.
would assume it would come out of the sewer and water funds.
Yes, you'd be splitting that in the sewer and water. I don't know what the age requirement, if it's mandatory that they have to be 18, or you would accept 17. I don't know. Because I don't know, Joe, are you having difficulty getting people?
We are, and I think if it's truly 18, you know, I think we'd have to talk to our insurance, but the problem is they're already a senior in high school going to college. It'd be nice to have like a 16-year-old, and then you have them for, hopefully, for many summers. And that'd be something we'd have to check in with our insurance.
Tom, any specific qualifications would they have to do these jobs or tasks?
Driver's license would be the
Key thing?
issue, yeah, that, you know, because they would be putting them out on those projects on their own, probably as a team, most of the projects.
Would they be driving the village's vehicles?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if they'd be insured at that age. I'm just going by what Good Shepherd does. You gotta be 21 before they will let up.
Well, that's, you're looking at chauffeurs, though.
Required, maybe 21.
No?
Okay, Ira?
He's 18.
Yeah, typically it's 18 with insurance. I've never seen an insurance that's below 18.
we're having some water supplies to homes failing, right? And we can put some kind of device on the ground and determine, oh, we've got some piping that's failed in supplying that home or something to that effect, right? And we're seeing some of that based on when homes were built and what materials went into the construction of that infrastructure.
Are we looking at something hypothetically here? Or
Yeah, well, I know, you know, when we have some breaks here and there, or
Mhm.
so it sounded like that was part of the job,
Leak
right?
detection
Leak-
is, we actually have an electronic microphone.
You can hear
Yeah.
the use or the loss of this water.
And if you're turning a valve or working on a hydrant, documenting that is important.
Okay,
So okay, when I put them to work on a hydrant, all right, I don't know if well, number one will be the importance of that would be the fire flow testing, the static pressure and the flow gallons per minute, greasing the caps, and they all need to be redone again this year. So while they're doing that, the last thing they do before they open up that hydrant and after they shut it down is put a sound detector on it and notice if there's any indications of leakage. And hopefully that we come across some of that, so we try and pinpoint some of these problems. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've had several issues with service lines to homes, and it seems to be at an era of time that copper was installed. A lot of it the early 2000s, and that copper is deteriorating, and we don't know why. If it's quality of the copper, if it's stray electricity, something in the soil attacking it. But the fact is that they're popping up and we're losing an awful lot of water.
well, as walking around the community, I see, okay, now we got some sidewalk missing here and some curbing missing, and I'm assuming that's probably, we've had that issue where.
I don't know, I've been paying attention to the potholes myself.
Yep.
A few of those too.
Yeah, but pretty soon we better get kidding those, but
this is water that we lose to in the environment instead of supplying homes.
There is DNR language that we ought to be doing something about this. A number of years ago, we actually hired a professional guy that came in and did sound checking all over town and that. And it was reasonable to do that at the time, but the cost of having somebody come in and do that is getting more costly. If I bring in somebody from Ferguson Water and we have to pinpoint a leak and he comes here and he works for 3 or 4 hours, that's an easy $500 bill. And if we can possibly spot some of these things as these projects are getting done, you're kind of hitting 2 birds with the one stone.
Yeah.
Is it
That's my theory.
easy enough to train somebody that has no experience of what to hear, look, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of to touch on that, like with some of the projects that we undertake and with our full-time people, it's getting harder and harder for us to do these kind of,
Yeah.
we're onto bigger projects that are taking us a little more duration of time.
Yeah.